Hello everyone, and welcome to this video on the top 7 team owner settings for Microsoft Teams. For this video and for a bunch of new videos that we're planning on this YouTube channel, I'm actually joined by a good friend of mine, Gokan of Ozcifci. How are you doing, Gokan?
I'm doing tremendously well, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So, Gokan, why is it important for team owners to properly configure their teams?
It is extremely important. They have to know what the members will do in their teams, from fun stuff to channel moderation and a bunch of other stuff that we will cover today. So this video will cover the 7 most important things that you and me think they should know for a proper management of their teams.
And I mean, we can talk again. We kind of selected it to the top 7 because we can probably talk for 7 hours on different team settings, especially if you combine channel, team, and admin.
Yeah.
But for this video, this is for team owners. We're not going to open the Teams Admin Center. We're not going to open PowerShell. It will really be what you as a team owner can do. So let's get started right after the intro. Okay, Gokan. So our first one is the channel moderation setting. And I personally feel that this is one that not many enterprises use. And I think we don't have any slides. It's all going to be demos, right?
Yes, only demos for today.
Only demos for today. So let me open up Microsoft Teams here. And for channel moderation, as the name says, we have to actually configure this at the channel level. But there is something that you need to be aware of. Depending on the type of channel, the general channel, standard channels, and private channels, you actually have different options. So let's go through all of them. You might not have any idea what channel moderation even means, and that is fine, by the way. Gokan didn't have any idea either before I showed it to him 10 minutes ago, so don't worry about it. Okay, so what I'll go here under the general channel to start with, I will go under manage channel. The first thing I will see on here is the permissions. And as you can see, I have my set channel moderation preferences, and I can decide who can post in the general channel. Can anyone post messages? Can anyone post? However, show them a warning that show an alert that posting will notify everyone, or only the owners can post messages. So why is this important for the general channel? Mainly because some teams can get very big. And uh, Gokan, both me and you are independent consultants. So in our company's tenant, it's a bit lonely. We can post in the general channel. But we're both part of a few teams in the Microsoft tenant that have over 4,000 people.
Yeah.
In those teams, since kind of everyone is by default in the general channel, you can't decide to just show or hide it. Like on the standard channel, I can hide it if I don't like it, but I cannot hide the general channel. So if you want to avoid the general channel becoming kind of like a fire hose of a bunch of discussions that have nothing to do with the subject, or that would better be fitted to actually go in a specific channel,
Yeah.
you could actually host it. You can configure it to only owners can post messages. Any other ideas for use cases there, Gokan?
So yeah, for big customers, what we mainly use the general channel is for announcements, IT announcements as an example. If for a specific reason we have to do something, well, that's typically the case. It's going to go under general by the team's owners. We don't allow people to just have a conversation in the general channel. It's really used for specific scopes. And one example was the IT admin operations. They will typically go there, and then people can, from the general channel, see what's going on IT.
Awesome. And You mentioned that, well, I mentioned as well that for every different channel, you can have different settings. So those are the settings for the general channel. Now, if we go to the announcements, which is just a standard channel or a public channel, depending on how you want to call it, if I go in this channel settings here, I have more options, which is exciting. So for channel moderation, I can either set it to off, which by the way is by default. And if I have channel moderation off, I can allow to everyone can start a new post or everyone except guests can start a new post, which is, I mean, those are two good settings to start with. But I can also turn it on and then manage who are the moderators, who is allowed to start new posts in this channel. So I can add, for example, the team owners will always be there, but I can add additional members such as John Smith, for example. This way, in this channel, only the team owners and John Smith are allowed to create new posts. And then I can still allow members to reply to the messages. They just cannot create new ones. So an announcement one, for example, if you want to have the general channel for a different purpose, but you want to have a specific announcement one, like Gokan put out a really good use case earlier, you can also have it like that. And it's funny, we didn't even plan this in advance, but the channel name is announcement. So this could be the perfect scenario for it. And you can allow members to pin channel messages or not, allow connectors to submit channel messages or not. So you really can configure that balance between having the important information out there, but still not overloading the channel with information outside of the topic. This way, when somebody sees that channel is black because it has a notification on it, people know it's important. People know it will be relevant to them. That's it, I think, for me for the channel mentions. Did I miss anything, Gokan?
No, you did all well. Just for a closing note, if I may say something, it's
Of course you may,
please,
Gokan.
owners, have a look on those moderation settings and channel settings, because it is okay, like Vlad is showing now on one specific team, that's okay. But as Vlad mentioned, in organizations where you have 4,000 people, you'll be owner of multiple teams, right? It's not going to be only like the top 7 team settings team, but maybe 10, 15, or maybe 50 teams. And then, when people start collaborating and working and starting new conversations and already sharing files, it's going to be difficult to change those settings. Always plan in forehand and make those changes before actually opening up your team to everyone. That's actually a golden tip that I can give to you as a team owner.
Awesome. Thank you, Gogan. Now let's move on to the next one, which is team analytics. And I think that's one that you're quite passionate about, Gokan. So
Oh my gosh, I am.
d-
I am
uh,
so excited about this.
I'll let you lead on this one. Let's put your screen up there and let's take a look at what you're going to show us.
Okay, fantastic. So what I'm going to show is about how you can get data. Although even our tenant doesn't show any data, it's like no data available. It's about the concept behind the analytics within Teams. Microsoft Teams Analytics provides you actually insights around the usage patterns you have around you and your team. And that's extremely important, especially within the pandemic, within the COVID era. Not everyone has the chance to go to the office and see real people. We all work from home. And it is important to you as a team owner to know how the interaction is in your team. You maybe want to know how many meetings you had, how the engagement is in your team, how many active users you have in your team. And that info, well, you never had this in an on-premises environment. It is all possible with the Microsoft Teams, and you will get that data, and you can actually take actions with that data. Is this analytics section complete and the best that you can get at Microsoft? No, it is not. It is still basic stuff, but at least it gives you phenomenal insights around the usage patterns you have in your organization, in your team. And let's have a look together on how it looks like. So let me open my team, and whenever you go on your team, well, you have two ways on seeing the analytics. Well, you hit on the three dots and come to the manage team. You will see the analytics here on the top, and then you can see two things. First of all is the refinement section, where you can actually filter through the channels you have. And what you can see is Vlad had 3 different channels, and I only see 2 different channels.
We're going to talk about that in a few seconds as well.
I'm just teasing, right? I have like 2, and Vlad will talk about this in a couple of minutes. But I can filter through my channels and say, okay, I like to see the details about my announcement channels, and I can go up to last 7 days, last 30 days, or last 90 days. What you will see is the summary of your users, the apps that are being used and consumed by your channels, the engagement, how many posts, replies, mentions, and reactions, and the engagements.
Hey, Gokan, can we show a screenshot on how it would look like with data? Just for a few seconds here. I have it right here ready.
And that's what I want to mention. It doesn't look really cool with us, but this should be like one of those screens you would have in a corporate environment, where you have the active users in numbers and the inactive users in numbers. It gives you insights on how much the channel is being used and consumed, the roles, how many owners, members, and guests, and then the active users in graphs, which is phenomenal. It shows you, okay, I had in the 5th of October that much of users, and the 9th and the 10th, which is basically, I think, weekend, I had almost no one working on the team, right? And you can also see...
Hopefully nobody working on the weekends.
And at the end, you will see the engagement on your posts, replies, mentions, and reactions. One thing that I like to mention is, and this is because I mainly show this in workshops and at organizations, is the numbers. Like on active users, you can see 400, 200 as a metric. This is actually analyzed by Microsoft, and it's something that comes from a tenant. So in your environment, if you have, as Vlad mentioned, 4,000 users, well, the metric will be 4,000 and not 400 into your team. 4 questions I always get whenever I present the team's analytics. First one, what does active user mean? What's the difference between an active user and a normal user? Well, according to Microsoft, an active user is someone who does intentional actions, meaning replying to a conversation, uploading files, having a chat, calling someone. Well, that's an active user, and it will be counted into the team's analytics.
So if an IT company sets Teams to automatically open at startup, that doesn't count if you don't
doesn't count. Yeah.
You click on anything.
Yeah. So just opening Teams, minimizing it, making it bigger will not count as an active user. Those are not active users. So that's the differentiation. Secondly, one of the major questions from team owners we get is, can we export that data? Well, Teams desktop client doesn't give you the chance to export this. However, I know Vlad told you in the early beginning that we will not show anything from the admin center, but please know that this is possible from the admin center to download some reports and to analyze that via Excel. Another one, we know Microsoft, that's the mobile first, cloud first era. However, the mobile app doesn't support yet the analytics coming from Teams. So under the app, you will not see it. And lastly, and that's maybe because I'm from Europe, within the GDPR rules, a lot of French people ask me, can we just opt out from this? Like, I don't want to show, even if it's like anonymous, you don't see any names. Can I opt out from this? I have to say, unfortunately, that's not possible. You have to just use, and you will see data being driven by Microsoft.
But I think, and again, I don't want to open the topic of GDPR. And I mean, the US, Canada are about, every country is working on their own version of GDPR now. And that's another Pandora box that we can talk for 7 hours.
Don't open it.
But there is no personal information in here. I really want to stress out that we're not going to be able to see that Gokan didn't do anything except like change his status to online. So it appears that he's working. You cannot get that kind of information.
Yeah.
So that's really combined for your team?
That's the reason why I wanted explicitly to mention it in the 4 questions. Don't be scared. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Uh, your name will never be attached to any action in the backend. It's just to give you insights about the usage pattern.
It is
So
in the audit log, but again, that's a topic
please,
for another course.
please don't
I'll,
open the Pandora box. Please, please, Vlad, please.
okay, is it time to go to the next one before
Yeah,
we
I think
before we
so.
go off subject even more?
Please.
Okay, the next one, really close to my heart, allowing members to create private channels. Before I actually show you the setting, and I will close the slides, I will go here, and I want to show you something. I'll go into general channel, and I will show you that if I look in the team owners, I have Gokan and Vlad, right? And if you look on my channels, I have general, announcements, and managers. But now let me switch over to Gokan. I'm gonna put your screen up there in for 1 second. Gokan is still an owner, and Gokan, I see. Ah, there we go. It took a few seconds to load. Gokan is an owner, but Gokan does not see the private channel, even if Gokan is an owner. So I can always go and here start a new conversation, and I can say here, Gokan doesn't know much about Teams. He's a marketing person. And Goku would never see this conversation. And of course, we're kind of having fun here. But, and I'll go back to my screen here. But even if you're a team owner, you cannot see the private channels, edit them, add yourself to them in an organization. And this is actually documented behavior. I have a link here from Microsoft Docs, and I'll put it in the video description if you want to learn more. But let's take a look at the first two columns, action and team owner, since we're doing this video for team owners. Uh, can we delete private channel? Yes. So Gokan could go if in the team channels and delete it. Uh, can Gokan edit the private channel that he's not in? No. Can Gokan add members, edit settings, manage tabs and apps of that private channel? No. And that's something that not all team owners like. And there's a way to actually go for a team owner to go see that channel. You have to go in the manage team over here. You go in channels, and then here Gokan would see that that channel exists as an owner. And Gokan, I'm not sure if you have it on your screen, if we can show it really quickly. But if not,
I'll,
I'll just wait 1 second.
yeah, so I'll go on my screen, and you wanted to see which one?
Go under team settings and then channels.
Channels. You can see my channels here.
I'll wait for it to load. You see the manager's only channel. You see there that it exists, but you do not see it part of your channels. And the only
No.
setting you really have is to actually delete it. But now let me go back to my screen and let me go full screen. This way we can uh, really see all of the different settings. What I will do is I will go under settings here, and I will go under member permissions. The second one that I actually have here is, do you want to allow members to create private channels? So if you don't want this experience where everybody in your organization could, well, everybody, I want to say in your organization, again, we're going to put this as team owners. So I'll say everybody in your team be able to create private channels. You could simply check off this checkbox. So if they want to create a private channel, they have to go through you. You can evaluate their request, and then you can decide if you create it for them or not. Maybe you're going to want to add yourself in it as a team owner, depending on the situation, and that can really depend on unique business requirements. But yeah, I just wanted to really point out the fact that by default you can have many channels here that are private that even as a team owner you do not see by default, and even if you know they exist you can only delete them and restore them. You cannot add yourself to them to actually see the content. Gokan, what do you think about this setting? Did you ever talk to customers and then team owners realize, hey, there's like 5 channels in here I had no idea existed?
So private channels is one of the most famous stuff around Microsoft Teams, right? But I honestly, I haven't seen a lot of adoption about private channels. One of the main reasons is because it creates, as you know, a separate SharePoint site, right, in the backend for storing the files. And because the team owner actually cannot see the content of the private channel, which makes sense, right? You explained
Yeah.
this very well. And a lot of organizations, well, they don't like the concept. They don't like the idea of having a SharePoint site with, I'm not going to call it a random name, but it's like the private channel name within the URL, which is not respecting the naming convention maybe from the, well, if you go to files and open it in SharePoint, well, you will see it will take the managers only in the URL.
Yeah.
Maybe that doesn't really sound as the governance in the organization, right? You can see it here, right? And I know that many organizations, well, basically they have a naming convention policy in the organization, and this doesn't fit. Another thing, up to 2 months ago, I think, was retention policies. We could not apply retention policies on private channels. However, it's the case now. You can do it. But it is famous. I love it. And I'm pretty sure within the coming months, a lot of people will adopt this. And with the settings you show, I'm pretty sure they will understand and manage this as it should be.
Yeah, private channels is not bad. It's a really a nice innovation. Of course, Microsoft did it because people wanted it. So I'm sure they had enough demands. Probably, I don't remember, but I know it was really popular on user voice. But make sure as a team owner, you know the impact it actually has on the team and how to manage it. Because at first, we would think that as a team owner, we have access to everything. We can control everything in our sandbox that is the team. But that's not necessarily the case. So something to be aware of. And for the full table that I showed a bit earlier, I'll have again a link in the description so you can go check it out for all of the other team member, team guest, private channel owner. So all the other types of users, you can check what that behavior would be inside Microsoft Teams. So I think this is it for this one, Gokan. Are we ready to move on to the next one?
Oh, yeah, send it on.
The next one, and Gokan, this is one that before it was even released, I remember you're already preparing best practices about it. And this one is tags.
Tags.
Let's go over to your screen. Actually, let me put your screen on there. Yeah. And what are tags in Microsoft Teams?
Okay, so the word tag at the beginning when I presented this in the organizations was extremely misunderstood. They were thinking that tags was the same thing as we have on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram about hashtags.
Even Yammer now we have hashtags.
What did we say, Vlad? Every single time you will announce Yammer, a cat will die. Thank you.
I'll edit it out. It doesn't count if it's not published, right?
Okay, fantastic. So yeah, a lot of people said like, oh, is it a hashtag? What do we do with that? But it's not the case. A tag is a container where you can easily and on a simple way attach people, your colleagues, employees to that container where you can actually categorize per project, per language, per specialization, anything you want to. So you just create a tag, attach some people, and then start a conversation and then tag those people with that tag. Let me show that to you how it works. Very easily, you just come here under the 3 dots, go to the Manage Team, and the last thing you will see on the ribbon is the tag section. Well, it will say you, Gokan, you don't have any tags, so let's create one. The experience is that you have to provide a name. So what we did, and this is a real world scenario, well, we had an IT team where all the IT admins were collaborating under one team. And we had Exchange admins, SharePoint admins, Teams admins, and we decided to create an admin tag for every product. So a SharePoint product admin tag. And then we added some people into that one. And we said every single time I'm tagging the SharePoint admin tag, well, Vlad will get the notification that he was actually being tagged in a post. I will create that tag right here. What you will see is, okay, I have a tag, which is the SharePoint admin with one member. You can also see the tags that are assigned to me. So what I can do is I will then create a Yammer admin, and I know Vlad will be extremely jealous because he is not the Yammer admin, and I'm the Yammer admin, right? You will see my name popping here up, and then I will create that one, and you will see now that the Yammer admin is now assigned to me, but that doesn't mean I cannot tag anybody else. I can just easily hit on the Yammer admin and then edit this and add some more people and bring even Vlad here in as a member to the Yammer admin. So one thing that you can do is directly from this section, have a chat with those people. And if you hit on that, well, you will see, normally it will create a chat, which it didn't do. So let's try it again. I will go to the Manage Team, go to Tags, click on the Yammer admin, and let's hope this time.
Oh, Gokan, it's because it's only me and you. Add a third person in there.
Oh, okay, that's the reason why. My gosh. Do we have a third person in your tenant?
Yes, Vanessa or John Smith, which
Okay,
of
there we
course I'm
go.
sure John Smith hasn't ever been used in other demos before.
Okay, so I will do Vanessa.
See, it's actually smart. It didn't create a new conversation.
Oh.
It was smart enough to say, hey, you people already have a conversation.
And
there we
there
go.
we go. And
So,
we
Gokan,
have now a
what
chat.
I learned is if you read the manual, it works better.
I will get you. I will get you.
Oh, I know
Okay.
you will.
Let's continue. So you can chat with those one with the tags you create. But what's really great is whenever you start a new conversation, well, basically you can start and say, hey, we have an incident, and that incident is that one. I'm just guessing some use case, and that's what we have been doing. And then you can start tagging people like, hey, and then say SharePoint, the SharePoint admins, and Yammer admins, could you please have a look, right? Well, you can do that. And then whenever you hit on send, well, the people who are actually part of this tag will get a notification that they have been tagged into a post. What's bad with that is if I continue my chat and just tag Vlad and check the general channel and the announcement channel, well, from an end user perspective, they all look same, right? Vlad, do you see any difference? It's all
No,
blue, right?
they all look as their people. Everything looks like people.
And you can't really make the differentiation. The only way how you can actually make the difference is, one, you all know it by heart. You know every single tag, every single channel, every single person. Or, well, you have to hit on send. And if you hit on send, well, now you will see that the tags will get a red color. This one didn't get one. It's mainly because it has only Vlad. But the ones which have more people, well, they get in red, and that's the only way how you can get it. So one of the recommendations I'm giving to the organizations from an end user perspective, as a team owner, whenever you create your tag, please edit this and put a hashtag in front, like this. I will do the same for the SharePoint admin and come and add here a SharePoint admin hashtag. And I will also add myself herein, save this. Oh, didn't I add on add? There we go. I have Gokan and Vlad. And now if I come under the general channel and start a new conversation about incident, I'm just guessing one number, and I can now say, hey, if I hit on the hashtag, well, you will see now from a visual perspective, I know that I'm talking about tags. And now you may add any other name channel name person, well, visually, you know that the hashtags are tags. And that's what I'm always saying. It's something small, little, but it will help you a lot as a team owner to actually adopt, to learn adoption to others, to explain them how to differentiate the names between persons, channels, and tags. A few notes from sessions I had here is that tags are not supported in private channels. Right, Vlad? We cannot do this.
Yep, you
We
are right
cannot
on that
use
one.
We cannot use PowerShell to manage tags, unfortunately. However, and I know Vlad did say don't mention this, but in the admin center, the global admin or the Teams admin can definitely play around with that and then enable, disable
There's a
tags.
lot of settings there. Even
Yeah,
built-in settings, they can have, for example, pre-built tags for every team, for example.
yes. So the admin can do that, or you as a team owner, and I will show you that in a few seconds how you can do that. A team can have up to 100 tags, and up to 100 people can be part of a team. And finally, you can be part of 25 tags as a single user, right? The last thing I like to show you is whenever you come under the manage team, under the settings, well, you have the tags option. If you are not the Teams admin and you don't have access to the Teams admin center or the global admin, well, you have like two options that you can manage as a team owner. You can decide who can manage the tags, the team owners or the team owners and members. Very simple. And that one is a new one, the shifts. We all know that shifts is now part of Microsoft Teams. And you can now basically create tags from the Shift app and then sync it to your team directly and use the Shift created tags into Microsoft Teams. Basically, that's it. I love the feature because it's a container where you can actually build some intelligence, because every single time you will tag a tag into a post, it will bring a notification, and this will definitely help you not pinning and not enabling. I hate people when they mention channel names into posts, and by using tags, well, you will avoid that. So please, please, please use tags as much as possible. I just showed you about technology, SharePoint Exchange and Yammer, but you can also do per language, you can do per project, X, Y, Z, anything you can do.
Even roles within a project, for example, project managers in a project one, or stakeholders and things like that. So really allows you to create groups of people to notify, to always notify the right people, so you don't need to mention the team or the channel every single time. And
Or the channel.
again,
Yeah.
I'm really about minimizing distractions, and notifications are good if they're used efficiently. But Gokan, we keep talking about mentions. Now that we have tags, I think it's time we talk about our next setting, which is, well, mention settings. I think this fits in quite well on, okay, now that we know what Gokan taught us about how we can use tags, how can we actually minimize the amount of mentions to the channel and teams? And again, let me minimize the slides, go back to my team. And if I go, and I'll just go here, I'll show you how I got there from the team, manage team, settings. I have a whole one for mentions over here. And it says choose who can use at team or at channel mentions. What this means is basically, if I go in the general channel, I can do a new conversation, or even in the announcement channel, for example, and I can tag the team. This will send a notification to everybody in the team. Or like Gokan did it a bit earlier from the general channel, he actually tagged the announcement channel. And when you tag a channel, basically everybody that has the channel as shown or as pinned here will be notified. But this can be really I think misused by people, because let's be honest, I always say that people want to do good. But then people get excited, and for every question they have, they tag the whole team. And that creates a bunch of notifications for everybody, and nobody's productive. Everybody's not happy about it. So, what you can do is, again, go into the team settings, go under settings, mentions, and the one that I actually recommend to do on almost every single one is do not allow members to tag the whole team. I don't think there's many valid use cases where you need to tag the whole team as a member of that team. I'm not saying there aren't, and at the end of the day, we want to show you the options and you decide what's best for you. But most of my clients actually disable the giving members the option to tag the team. You can allow to tag the channel or not. Again, that is up to you, and you can turn it off if you don't want to have that setting. uh, of course, if you create the proper tags and then you train users on tags, those should be less and less used, but we want to really minimize the distraction for people so users can be productive. And getting tagged every 3 minutes in a Teams conversation because somebody tagged the whole team and it had nothing to do with you, it distracts you, and we want to minimize that. Anything else we want to share about mentions, Gokan?
One thing that I maybe want to mention is that in a real project, how we did is we first opened everything, like everyone could mention anything. Then we closed the team one, and then we made an announcement like this was closed, and then we created the tags. Let's run the channel and tags in parallel, and after a certain time, we disabled the channel, and then only let the tags. Please don't disable everything in one just big bump. You will not succeed. Please try to educate your end users, create your tags, let them use all of them, and just disable the options one by one. That's one thing that I learned, and I want to share it also with the audience.
And as always, like you said, communication and training is important, so users know what to use instead. Okay, next, also before we go, we kind of talked about it earlier, but wanted to mention it again, pun intended. At the channel setting for private channels, you also have the mentions here. So you can disable it for this channel only, for example, if you want to for private channels. Okay, next one, and we only got two more to go. Gokan said this video will be 10-15 minutes, and I'm looking at the time, and
oh my gosh, and I
it's
remember
10-15 minutes. But let's talk about channel restore, because I think as much as we hope to never have to use this, I think it's something that will come in quite useful. Gokan, how many times did you have to restore a channel for users?
Oh my gosh. At the beginning, a lot, really a lot. Like people, what they just, can you see my screen? Did you move the screen?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay. So what we have seen in our projects that, like anyone in the team can add a channel if you don't disable the option. Well, what they do something like that. Vlad is the best as Yammer admin, right? They just create some funny channel names, and then they just create that channel and they start working on that. But then they suddenly realize, oh my gosh, that's not good. I did a joke, but now I see people collaborating on that channel. What I will now do is I will very quickly delete that channel, and boom, then the channel is being deleted, right? And now after a while, they have the thinking like, oh my gosh, I know I deleted the channel, but I had some files that I want to get, or a conversation where I had some information that was necessary. First, what they need to know is that it is not because you deleted the channel that the files are removed. The files are still staying in SharePoint. Well, you will see that, and every single time, whenever you try to delete one of those channels, it says all conversation will be deleted. However, your files are still accessible. And if you hit on that, well, you will be redirected to the SharePoint site, which has those files. At the
But
beginning, a
as a
lot
side
of time.
note, Gokan, I want to make sure that we're clear here because private channels are different. When you delete a private channel, the site collection gets deleted. Really, really important. Wanted to point it out before people start deleting everything, thinking their files will still be there.
Yeah.
If you delete a standard channel like the one Gokan just showed, your
Yeah.
files will remain as that folder in the shared library. But for private channel, they actually delete the site collection. Of course, your
Yeah.
admin can still restore it if you pay them a good restaurant. But yeah, just wanted to point that out before people start deleting.
Yeah. Yeah, no worries. So what you will see if you go to the settings on the ribbon, you have the channel section, and basically you will see that the channel that you had done is still here. Um, don't forget, and this is something that you have to learn, that this channel is only here for 21 days. If you come after 2 months or 3 months and say like, oh my gosh, I have the channel and you have to restore it, well, basically, it's gonna be extremely impossible for me to restore that. Now what you will see is the channel is here and I can still go and see my files and get data from that files, or even go here and work with that as well. Basically, that's it. You can easily delete a channel. As I mentioned, as Vlad mentioned, to be honest, the shared channel, not the shared, the standard channels data will remain in SharePoint. The private one will disappear. And every single time within the 21 days, you want to actually restore that one, you just come here under the channels and then hit on the deleted ones, and then you can restore that one, and then your files and your channel will be restored in Microsoft Teams.
I love it how I see it live in my teams that disappear appear as you delete them.
Yeah.
You mentioned share channels. I think that's a topic for another video. They've been announced
Yeah.
at Ignite in March, or Teams Connect, as many of you might know it after the marketing name, let's say. But that's a topic for another video once it goes in general availability, hopefully soon. I don't think we have a date yet, but Microsoft Ignite in November is coming up really soon. So really hope to hear more by then. Okay, Gokan, one final one, and we kept the most fun one until the end because this one is the fun stuff settings. And I'm not sure fun stuff is the official name. I think the official name is fun settings, but I like the fun stuff settings more because you can have fun in Teams. Okay, so what
Yeah.
is the fun settings? I love the Gokan GDPR face. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so what can you do in Teams by default? And I'll go in this private channel so Gokan doesn't actually see what I'm doing, or cannot actually like save it after. But I can go here first of all under GIFs, and I have, of course, all of the different animated GIFs that I can choose and put a nice uh, kind of caption with it. I'll just search YouTube video. Is there anything here? There we go. New YouTube video one, for example, and have stuff here. I also have the stickers and memes that you can have here. For example, I have the Clippy ones by default that some of them are animated. So you have all of those, and who doesn't love Clippy? But what is really cool, there's actually some of them that you can customize. Like you don't see it over here, but on some of them here, you can actually customize them. So on this oh yeah one, I can actually go click the button and let's say we fired Gokan. Here, customize it, click on done, and post it. It actually posts as a picture with my caption on it. Of course, I would never recommend posting stuff like that, but some organizations, for various reasons, you might actually want to disable it. Maybe because I'm not even sure, Gokan, is this even captured in retention policies and
No, no,
e-discovery and things
no,
like that?
I don't
Or
think so.
because there's actually been lawsuits over the use of smiley faces and things like that, and what legal meaning they have, and many people can misinterpret them. So with Teams, even if they're turned on by default, and again, the admin could have already turned them off at the actual tenant level, but you do have settings that you can do at the team or channel level. So if I go into manage team here, I'll go in settings again. Hey, it's actually called fun stuff. So I was right, it's fun stuff settings. How can it be more fun than talking about settings that talk about fun stuff? So first of all, do you want to enable Giphy for this team or not? You can enable or disable Giphy, and then you can filter out inappropriate content. So you can set it on moderate or on strict. And if you go on the settings here, we don't see much, do we, Gokan? But moderate is for G general. I don't know why it doesn't. I think there's like a little bug there. But strict is basically a lot less. Really think of it as like PG-13, and then like uh, more like serious stuff like that. So you can have it to moderate or strict. Now, as a fun side topic, as an admin, you can actually configure it to be unfiltered as well. So give you full access to the Giphy library. I highly recommend against allowing that in any production work environment, because there's a lot of stuff out there that's
Yeah,
not workplace appropriate. So
please don't
moderate and
do it.
strict is fine, but don't go unrestricted if you're an admin. Do it in your own test tenant if you want, have fun with it, but do not ever enable unrestricted in a business environment. Okay, so this is for the animated GIFs. We then have the sticker and memes that we can enable or disable, and also a separate control for custom memes, like the one that I showed you where I changed it to add my own text. So if you want to let the other ones enabled, but not the custom memes, you can actually disable that one as well. And I've seen a lot of customers actually disable it just because of the perception. As a user, you go to this, you see that, where is it, managers only, you see that this is a picture, and you think like, hey, somebody really took the time to go in Photoshop and actually do this picture, put my name in it. And people have a bad perception because they don't always know how easy it is to create those, or that they're built in inside Teams. So a lot of people I have seen, they're like, okay, we don't want this enabled. We get where it comes from. It can be really fun, but on most of our teams, we do not want this enabled. How about you, Gokan?
Mixed feelings. I love it. It gives
It's
some
fun. It's
distraction.
fun.
It's fun, but I know what you mean, and a lot of organizations, especially the financial sector, they don't like the idea. They're really straightforward from a legal perspective. It's fun. It's an option that you have that you can enable, disable, and every organization does how they like it. I love it because it gives you colorful, and it changed from the classic communication you have. And there is a saying, right? One image is more worth than 1,000 words, or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it, but it depends per organization. I
It's
would
good
say.
to know that you have the option to turn it
Yeah.
off by team. So really, you can turn it on for the tenant, but then every team owner can decide if it's an appropriate thing for their team or not. Okay, those are our 7 settings, Gokan. So we covered channel moderation, team analytics, allowing members to create private channels, tags, mention settings, channel restore, and the fun
Fun
stuff
stuff.
at the end. So while there are many other team settings out there, we haven't covered them all, but we think those are the 7 ones that every admin should know. Every team owner should know, sorry,
Team
because
owner,
if
yes,
you're an
team owner.
admin, you need to know way more than that. But Gokan, any final words?
Education. That's the most important one. As a team owner, I think even if it's not in your governance, it's your role to educate your members. If you decide to allow tags, to create tags, to disable memes, to enable give fees, it's okay, but please educate your members, explain them the reasoning, what's behind on the actions you take, educate, educate, educate. That's really the core, I think, for a good adoption of Microsoft Teams.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Gokan, and thank you very much, everyone, for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it and want to get more videos like this, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and Gokan will create a ton more content on how to get the most out of Microsoft 365. And until then, goodbye, and thank you very much for watching.